Say it.
Nay! Why, hello there, listeners! It is I, Princess Speckletron, the Unicorn! Ooh, yay! And you're listening to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. With me, as always, is Hassan, my bestest buddy. Woo! I love you, Hassan. Love you.
Oof. You know, I don't want to
Yes.
come across as ungrateful
Yes.
for your love.
Yes.
But I think my buddy Tristan might have made a mistake in inviting you on.
Oh. Well, why? I'm a unicorn. Everybody loves a unicorn.
Yeah, so I told him
Yes.
that we were going to be talking about this show called Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
Oh, it sounds a lovely show.
It has no unicorns in it.
That's crap. I hate it.
Yeah, so I
Hate the
think
show.
he heard the name and invited on the only unicorn he knows,
Okay.
assuming that would make sense given the name.
So,
And actually it has nothing to do with unicorns.
well, that's absolute crap, Hassan. Oh, I hate this show now. Oh, I'm gonna step on it. Oh, with my unicorn hooves. Oh.
Well, there's probably physical copies of it on like a hard drive, but that otherwise, it kind of exists digitally. There's not, it's not like a thing you can really step on.
Well, I'm going to print out all of the show, one scene at a time, and then step on all of it.
Yeah, actually, that would be illegal.
Really?
Yeah, people have tried to do that stuff on like Twitter and Tumblr of like each frame from this thing per day, and they always get shut down because technically somebody could compile it into the full thing.
Okay. Well, what I'll do then is use my magic of the unicorn and make the show go away forever.
Unicorns can do that?
I have David Zaslav on the line.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't. What that? I don't think Tristan realized you were friends with David Zaslav. We have a policy here on the show that we don't allow him or his friends on. So
Oh. Well, that's just
you're
crap.
gonna have to leave now.
When I'm a beautiful unicorn.
Yeah, but you're friends with a horrible human being who is
Oh.
just ruining a lot of good art
Okay, well,
and needs to go.
I'm just going to go then. Goodbye, Hassan. I still
Farewell.
love you. Our love bird's eternal. Eternal, Hassan.
I don't love you.
Eternal.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, boy, that was something.
Well, that's a unicorn.
Oh, Tristan, thank God you're here.
Yeah. I heard you were hanging out with the unicorn, Sparkletron, the unicorn. Like,
So,
do you have
listen,
something
buddy,
going on with her? Like, what's going on, man?
No. She's friends with David Zaslav, so
Oh.
I never want to hear from her again.
I thought
as
she
far
said
as
she
I'm
loves
concerned.
you. Like, she loves you.
Yeah, I don't care.
Why would I?
I don't. If she's friends with
She's-
David Zaslav, I just know it's not going to work out.
She's a beautiful unicorn. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Who is friends with one of the worst capitalists alive?
Just because she's friends with one of the worst capitalists in our existence currently doesn't mean she's not a good person. Like, come on.
I'm pretty sure it does. You can definitely judge a person by the friends they have and the company they keep.
I've never heard that before in my life, Hassan. That sounds dumb.
Well, unfortunately, it's a fact.
Facts over feelings. Shit, fuck. Feelings over facts.
The reverse Ben Shapiro.
That's right. I pride myself on being the reverse Ben Shapiro, so... Well, Hassan, I guess we're down one unicorn, which was going to be our guest today. I mean, like, what are we doing now, man? Like, what are we talking about? Like,
we're here to talk about a little show called Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Which
should I bring the unicorn back?
Terrible name.
Should I bring
not like the name.
Should I bring the unicorn back?
Nope, because this show doesn't have any unicorns, actually.
Ooh. Okay, really?
I mean, maybe there's one at some point, but unicorns are not important to the plot.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so,
bit of a bummer that.
Is it? I mean,
well, okay.
I know some people are way into unicorns, but I would describe myself as mostly indifferent to them.
Unicorn agnostic. Gotcha. I understand.
Sure. Yeah, agnostic. Yes. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
They're fun for hunting in video games. I'll say that.
I don't recall any video games that let you hunt
Monster
them.
Hunter and Tales of Vesperia.
Yes, that's right. Okay, good point. Well, those two, I guess. Fine. They can do what they want.
Yeah. But for anybody who has not heard of this show at all, it's Unicorn: Warriors Eternal. It's a 2023 cartoon series by the legendary, I guess you would call him cartoonist. He's had a variety of roles and he has worked at different levels of making things. Genndy Tartakovsky, which for anybody who doesn't know, his two sort of biggest claims to fame are going to be Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. But he's done loads of other things. Most recently, aside from Unicorn Warriors Eternal, he has also done Primal. Before that, he also did a bunch of work on the Hotel Transylvania movies. And then he's done like a variety of like storyboard work and some writing work on a bunch of other things. So, man who has worked on a lot of series and things.
Yeah, he directed Hotel Transylvania. So, yeah.
I think it's like 2 or 3 he directed. I think the first one he just did like storyboard, concept art kind of stuff, I want to say. I was looking at it earlier, but he was deeply involved in those, let's say. And the general premise of this cartoon, and I'll just go ahead and read the premise from Warner Bros., which is, in Unicorn Warriors Eternal, an evil force is looming across the dark, thick-aired streets of Industrial Revolution London, when a group of heroes dubbed Unicorn, which I don't think they're ever called that in the show, so I don't know why they say that.
I'm 3 episodes deep, and I've not heard them called Unicorn at all. So, yeah.
But basically, there's this group of warriors who keep getting not quite reincarnated, but that their souls keep getting placed into humans of each era. So it's unclear exactly when, but we're going to say thousands of years ago, they originally started this fight against some great evil. And so the 3 warriors are Melinda, daughter of Merlin.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah. Then there is... why is this not... Sorry. Edred. Who is this elf prince. And then there is Seng, Seng, who is this sort of mystic monk. And alongside them is this automaton from the future who is brought back by Merlin, Copernicus, who I really like Copernicus. He's very steampunk, but his body is just a sphere, and then he's got these...
Yeah.
I don't even know what you would really... These springy arms is the only way I can think to describe them.
Accordion arms, Hassan.
Yeah, accordion arms and legs. And he just communicates through sort of toots and whistles, and his head kind of spinning around and stuff. He's your mascot character in a way. But basically what happens in each sort of era is the great evil shows up.
As you do.
We'll start with the evil initially shows up.
Yeah.
The three of them defeat the evil. And so their spirits are then absorbed, or their souls, spirits, whatever you want to call it, are absorbed by Copernicus. And then he is basically triggered that when the evil returns, he goes out and finds new hosts for them so that they can sort of be reincarnated, continue the fight, beat the evil of that era, and your cycle's going to essentially repeat this way infinitely, ad nauseum, to no end.
Ad infinitum.
We'll get into it. There's maybe an end.
Well, that's not eternal then, if it ends.
Okay. Yeah.
Just saying, man.
We'll talk about it. I will say the characters in this are okay. This show, probably its biggest problem is similar to what we talked about recently with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where there are only 10 episodes in this. They are standard length, so basically 22 minutes with commercial breaks. And there are things about these characters where elements of their story and their relationships are interesting, but it does not feel like there's enough time spent with actually getting to properly just have character moments. And in particular, where this is a Gendy Tartakovsky series, he's never been the most dialogue heavy kind of person. He's definitely...
he's kind of known for not doing a lot of dialogue.
Samurai Jack and Primal are not dialogue heavy. And even a Dexter's Laboratory.
Dexter's Lab has full episodes that just don't have a lot of talking in them, or any at all, really. He's good that way.
Yeah, and he's good that way. But I think here where, it is multiple characters as part of the cast, and Dexter's Laboratory kind of had that, where you might have an episode with Dexter, Dee Dee, Mandark, maybe like his parents are there, or a fellow student or something, but really at most 2 to 3 kind of characters. Whereas with this, you tend to have the main cast, and then there's also sort of supporting cast with it, and so it just feels as if it could still work, but that it needs more episodes. It needed to be more of a traditional 26 episode season, or even just sort of, I would even say, even if it just got maybe another 6 to 8 episodes, that really would have helped it with having more time to space out some of this character development stuff, to spend more time with it.
I mean, that's kind of like any show these days. Like, they always go for the low amount of episodes. Trying to compact everything into just 10 episodes is not always doable. So, like, I hear you.
Yeah, and I do think that there is interesting stuff with the characters. It just doesn't feel like it's as well executed as it should be. And some examples of that are, so Edred, this elf prince.
Edred.
We basically eventually learn that he had sort of forsaken his role as becoming the next elf king, and he did it because he was in love with Melinda, my
aunt?
No. Melinda's a bit of a difficult character because there's two Melindas in the show. So there is Melinda, who is the combination of actual Melinda's soul, the daughter of Merlin, as well as the soul of the human she was reincarnated into, Emma Fairfax.
Yes.
And that, like, merging of those two as one person, they still call her Melinda, but she's more like Emma than Melinda. So I'm mostly going to try my best to distinguish between those two, but
to be fair, just call it one Emma, one call Melinda, and you basically have enough difference there.
So basically, Edred forsook all of this for Melinda, to be with her and to join her as one of the Warriors Eternal.
Yeah.
And when he goes back and he has to face these things, and his brother and some of the other beings of the realm are kind of calling him not quite like traitor, but saying that he abandoned his people and
piece of shit is what they call him.
Basically, yes. That it's his fault that the realm is doomed and their father is kind of ending up merging with this tree. Which is what they do when they die, I guess.
I mean, like, look, if you're merging with a tree, then we gotta call that guy's more names.
It's his dad who's merging with the tree.
Oh, it was dad's merging with the tree. That's fine, whatever. Let the dad have his weird sexual relationship with the tree.
I don't think anyone mentioned sexual.
I assume that's what it is. I can only assume that when you merge with a tree. You're doing weird things to it consensually.
It's okay. You don't have to keep explaining yourself on this. We can just move on.
I want to keep explaining myself.
No, we're just going to move on.
I don't think you understand.
And another example of where there is some actually really interesting character stuff is, so you were saying there's this Melinda and Emma kind of merged entity, and it's one of the later episodes where, because throughout it, Edred is being a little bit of a jerk in a way to Melinda, aka Emma, basically trying to be like, no, you're Melinda. We have loved each other for thousands of years across these multiple reincarnations. You just have to remember, come on, and like, you're super powerful. Just, hey, you kind of just need to kick this Emma person's butt and just become your proper self, and we can do this. And there's a later episode where Winston, who is Emma's fiance, literally the moment she was about to marry him is when Melinda's soul got put in her body.
Literally has the ring on her finger.
And like, the two of them are kind of half flirting, and just, it's this moment where Edred is genuinely upset and is genuinely torn up about this in this way, where it's
I get it,
like, you're supposed to be Melinda, and all of a sudden this other soul comes along and you're just now this completely different person. You don't remember things, and there could be a lot there for them to invest. I'm sorry, what?
Sucks to suck, dude.
Thought you said something very different.
No.
And that could be really interesting, but they really only get into a bunch of surface level stuff, and they just never really have a lot of time to delve into that complex relationship and tackle head on, not like the implications of this, but just how heady that could potentially be. This idea of, somebody reincarnating and you're still you, but they're not them, and how interesting that could be. And
so they don't tackle that a whole lot more, because like just from like episode 3 is where I'm currently at. I feel as if they like the whole season's about that, or at least it's starting to be.
It's always there,
right,
but they can never really get deep into it, and part of that goes back to that. Kenny Tarkovsky's never
not a dialogue guy,
big dialogue person,
right?
And that's really what this needs, and it's why if they have more episodes, I think that stuff would work. If they just had an episode that was about those two having to have that conversation, having to finally tackle kind of head on this thing that most of the time is just bubbling under the surface and creating a tension with them, but that they kind of struggle to properly talk this through and address.
I mean, I assumed it was going to be a lot more of that, because everybody else in the group, the current like Warriors Eternal group, all seem to be pretty on board. Like we got, what's his name? Edred, thank you. He's totally cool with it. He's on board. But I mean, he like did a full 100% takeover of that one guy.
Oh yeah, no, that Russian dude doesn't exist anymore.
Then like the kid who got the other guy's powers,
Zhang.
Zhang. So like he's into it. He's happy. He's content. But like Emma's the only one that has kind of like a resistance to the whole thing. So obviously that's going to be a main through line for the show.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like I just kind of assumed anyway that it should be a longer running plot.
It is. It's longer running in that these things exist throughout the episodes, but that they're never that critical to the episodes is what I would say. It's more of it's always simmering at the surface, but it's not very deep. And that extends beyond just the characters and some of the relationship stuff too, where the world that this is set in,
right? Yeah.
It doesn't do a great job of making it clear exactly what the status of this world is. And what I mean by that is it's definitely set in a steampunk London where
1893, I think it said, or 1873, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But there is technology here that is more advanced than even some of the stuff that we have. There, it's like the opening of this show is basically Copernicus, who is from the future, mind you.
Yep.
But it's him fighting a bunch of these robots, or just even when they're going around London, occasionally there you will see things that there's a little bit too advanced. So you're like, okay, so like is that just normal and accepted in this world? Is it not? That's a little unclear. And then there's not only that happening, but there's also all the magical parts of this where you're only 3 episodes in, so I'm pretty sure he's in either episode 1 or 2. There's a constable who he literally shows up along, I think they call it Mystic Alley, after the Unicorn Warriors basically end up in this fight, and he's just like, oh, these are all these mystics and these so-called seers and variety of gurus, all these people who are set up along this alley. Oh, they're all fake. Magic isn't real.
explain this. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's the kind of thing where, as the show goes on, they just keep running across more and more magic in this world, and that
Magic's not real. Fuck that. More magic, please.
it's a thing of like, okay, so what happened? Like, is there,
Yeah.
was there some event however many years ago that the magic started to weaken? Is it just somehow hidden? Like, what? Why? Why is it that magic is very clearly a thing in this world and seemingly abundant in this world, but also for some reason the people of the city don't believe in it, which seems confusing.
It's definitely weird. I mean, here's the thing: they're all flying dirigibles and stuff to start, and then they all have vehicles. Like they all have cars that are very clearly steam powered. Again, like Hassan said, it's very steampunk. So like what you're like, I don't know. So far, this rule is reminding me a lot of like Gravity Rush, the PSP PS3 game.
No, hey Tristan, I just got a message from PlayStation. They said we don't talk about Gravity Rush anymore.
Well, you should. It's a pretty good game.
No, they said Gravity Rush is dead and we don't care about it.
No more Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush 2 didn't do very good, guys.
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm only half. There was literally that like they had some like the women of gaming PlayStation background for the console.
Yeah.
And they really cut out Cat from Gravity Rush. Like, wait, what does that mean, guys? Because I want them to make a PC port of that. Port that instead of the bad Uncharted one you did.
Last of Us.
Yeah, Last of Us
port back.
Give me anyways. Steampunk Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's got kind of a similar style and kind of a similar vibe, which I dig. So, like, this is that. But if they're saying that there is somewhat of a magical world in this, they're saying there's somewhat of magic in this world, but not actually like the people of the world don't seem to really notice it or care. I gotta have to question like what they are doing in that case.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of weird and difficult and confusing about it, and we'll talk about it shortly, which is one of the things I actually like about this show, but it's that there's a variety of different kinds of magic, and it's so, for example, Edred, who is an elf, and there is an elf kingdom in the forests of England, the UK. I think it's unclear exactly where it is, but it seems like it's close to the city that they're in. So I'm just gonna guess it's England.
It seems like England. I think it seems like London, England. So. Oh,
it's definitely London. It's unclear exactly how far they traveled.
Shipping over to Denmark somehow. I don't know.
Could be. I don't know. But okay, if it was just sort of Edred and the elf magic in this forest, you'd go, okay, I can understand how this stays hidden. I can see how the elves hid their kingdom, they hid their magic. Done. Sure, of course.
Yeah.
That's just it. There isn't other magic really in this world.
Makes sense at that
it's
point,
all concentrate. Hey, this is all of the Earth's magic concentrate kind of thing. Fine. But that's not how it is, because for example, I think it's episode 8, we get introduced to this character Rakshasa, who is
does he have backwards hands?
No, so it's taken from
fuck it then. The thing.
I believe it's Hindu mythology. I looked it up.
Well, let me tell you the thing about the Rakshasa. Giant cat, giant tiger people, backwards hands, Hindu mythology. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have backwards hands,
Supposed
but he does have cool daggers that he holds, and then he kind of flies through the air while pointing them out, and it's
pretty
good.
That's pretty good. I'm not going to say no to that.
But we get introduced to him, and so then, okay, how does that work, right? If they're a Rakshasa, why are they also hidden? And I don't want this show to sit here and just, Animaniac style, somebody just pulls down a slide and they go, here's the deal. They're pointing at it and explaining everything. That would be
there's a problem.
terrible. And
Good night, everybody.
I've said this before.
Yeah.
Shows do not have to make logic sense. They don't have to sit here and lay out everything in intense detail so I can read all about it in a Wikipedia or a Wikia or some fan site that's gonna. It makes perfect sense. They thought about this super scientifically. That ruins things, right? If you're sitting here and going, oh, it can't just be magic. There has to be logic to my magic. No.
But you're missing the best part of it, a TV show, which is reading all about it on the Wikipedia. On the Wiki.
Let me tell you about this show. It's called Ruby, but it's spelled with a W. You're going to love it. If you want a show where you just read wikis, I hear Ruby is the show for you.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask my good friend Harris about that, I guess.
Please don't. Please don't start talking to people about Ruby.
We're not even friends anyway.
Oh, okay, great. You should become friends with him, but please don't.
I think we have talking
about Ruby. But I do think that this show, it would really help if it gave some just sense to us, the viewers, of how this world works. And thinking about some of Genndy Tartakovsky's other works, in particular Samurai Jack, that's one where that world, there is no logic to it.
No, not at all.
But that's the point of that world is, Jack failed to defeat Aku, and so now the world is just messed up, and you have aliens and all these various, just for lack of a better term, but magical entities from various
magic
Earth
tech,
mythologies. Well, not just, I don't even mean magic tech, but I just mean things like there's that.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's the episode where there's literally not a word of dialogue with like the Anubis-like characters, and you have the episode where it's basically 300.
The Spartans,
you have the Scotsman, and so you have these.
There's a lot of talking in those ones.
Yeah. Yes. But you have all these different magics, but that works in this world because that's the point of this world. And that's somewhat the case in Unicorn Warriors Eternal, but it needs a little bit of at least an explanation of that, because unlike Samurai Jack, where kind of anything could happen or was possible, and the people just accepted that at face value because that is just the world that they are in. If some cyborg fish man just showed up, they'd go, that's not weird. It's just, of course cyborgs
normal,
exist.
average
of
things.
course fish people are a thing, and why wouldn't the two of them come together at some point? Whereas in this, it's just unclear when you have characters going, well, no, magic isn't real, and then we keep encountering these different
magical things,
kinds of magic and magical entities.
There's a monster, there's literally like robots in like the first two episodes, Copernicus, besides Copernicus, and then to top it all off, like they seem to be controlled by a nine-tailed fox lady who in the second episode, I guess, in the two-parter, resurrects a dead elephant. So a dead zombie elephant is stomping around London, England, destroying stuff. And then Emma, explodes nuclear style and crushes a bunch of buildings. So why are we denying that magic exists? Why?
I would love to know that. I would love to know, okay, in this world, what are we saying what kind of magic actually exists in this world, where you have both Merlin, Melinda, and these elves that they all seem to be taking from, generally European lore and styles of magic. And then you have Sang, who he seems to be sort of just generally Asian, just Buddhist / Taoist / Confucian, although
his power,
he's credited as ancient Egypt Sang, but there's nothing about him that comes across as Egyptian, so I don't know about that part.
That's confusing,
yeah, that's a little bit weird. But then you also have Rakshasa, which brings in, potentially Hindu, at the very least Indian kind of folklore and stories. And so you have at least 3 very distinct, different magics happening. So what's the deal with magic in this world in that case, right? Is it that all forms of, the magic that we know from folk stories around the globe, those are all valid in this world, and there's just, we see Sang with this mystic realm, and is it just that they all draw from that? It's pretty unclear, and I just think it would have helped to have a couple more episodes so that they could do a little bit more world building as well alongside the character stuff. Now, on the flip side of that complaint, though, I really appreciate this world and how it's just very creative and willing to do almost anything and have it's not necessarily bound by that.
It's I gotta say, it's a striking show.
It's not just that it's a striking show, it's that, going back to what I was complaining about earlier, where I don't think you always have to sit down and say, oh, how does this logically work? It's fine to not always have that. I appreciate that this is a show where it's going to go, well, we have a robot from the future. We have an elf prince.
Yes, as you do.
And now we have a zombie elephant that they're going to fight.
Hell yeah.
And there is a level of freedom and creativity in this. I don't even... Maybe Samurai Jack was the last time that a cartoon had that? I'm genuinely...
No.
I'm trying to think of the last time a cartoon had that much ability to just go and pull together very disparate things into a single thing like that.
Well, let me tell you about a show called Shaolin Showdown.
I genuinely don't think Shaolin Showdown is nearly as disparate with what it's pulling from.
No, I know. With that said, so, okay.
I do like Shaolin Showdown, though, so,
Yeah, it's always a joke.
Maybe you should rewatch that and we'll do an episode.
I've been thinking about it.
Do it.
So, here's the thing. I kind of get the vibe they're going for, which is kind of an old school, like, kind of like current colonialist, like almost end of the British Empire sort of feel, where they have...
Sorry, what?
They sort of are, because, like, okay, so all the things that
I'm sorry, what was, like, the last 3 words you said?
So, they're going for a current colonialism, like, near fall of the British Empire.
Fall of the British Empire? I just don't understand.
Oh. Well, you see, at a certain point, Great Britain...
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know
where
Great Britain.
I was born.
Yeah, okay, where you're born. At some point, they stop being the world's greatest superpower.
Say what now?
Yeah, at some point.
Oh,
post, like, 1910.
Oh, no, Tristan, I think you ate too much dough again, and it's getting to your brain or something. The sun never sets on the British Empire, Tristan. Do you not know this?
No, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
But it did, though, because now the United States is way more, like way stronger of a nation than the British Empire ever was.
Okay,
to be honest.
well, just agree to disagree and go on.
Yeah, buddy. So anyway, it's clear that the setting they're kind of going for is like this. It's like London in the 1800s. A lot of explorers, a lot of things kind of like coming together. A lot of like different cultures kind of show up in London, and like you kind of pull from a lot of stuff.
It's also that
a lot of pith helmet style.
yeah, that Jules Verne, right?
Very Jules Verne, yeah.
Oh yeah, here's my time machine, and I go see a robot, but also I'm gonna go see dinosaurs. It's that. There's probably a term for that kind of 1800s-ish sci-fi where they would
there is
or like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is kind of along those lines too, of just, boy, this is pulling in a bunch of weird random stuff.
I believe it's anachronistic fantasy or anachronistic sci-fi.
That sounds like what somebody would have decided to call this. Pulling in a bunch of weird stuff that shouldn't really work, but there's just something about that time. It's that the reason I think it works in that time setting is because it's that just on the perfect line of we're still discovering new things. We still don't, I don't want to say we don't know everything, but we can't scientifically explain everything yet, Oh, we've maybe just figured out about these things called germs, but we don't quite fully understand radiation.
Germs? What are those?
I
don't even wash my hands.
Conquered the globe. We can effectively go anywhere, into the highest mountains and the deepest jungles, the explorers. And it's the perfect setting for that, to have these semi-random
it is
things all coming together.
I mean, considering
it makes the show really fun.
It does. Considering like in the like promo stuff in the first episode, they kind of show the Warriors Eternal like at one point in like, okay, I think they kind of start off in like the Dark Ages, and they move on to like a medieval age, like with Vikings, but like actually no, Vikings, then medieval age / Renaissance, and then they move into like Joan of Arc stuff. They kind of like keep bouncing around.
Native American.
Yeah, exactly. They keep bouncing around, and I think I think it's pretty cool. You don't really see a lot of like, even though they have an Asian character, you don't see a lot of like them going to Asian nations and battling the ancient evils there. But I mean, they may have. We just didn't see it. It was off camera.
Yeah,
I don't know. But like I would have liked to see that. But I mean, like, I think that picking it up where it is then, during this era of England, the industrialization era, which we are now in this show going hard into with like the steampunk stuff, which is like if industrialization was on crack and like got its shit together and could make this stuff happen, possibly. It's that at that level, which we have steampunk meets with all of the disparate groups who then kind of collected into London, which being, its time, at its time was essentially a New York City style place. I mean, New York City was also this way as well, but not so much until post World War One. So when you have this stuff happening, I feel as if like this is a good setting to get a lot of like high adventure into a show. And I actually wonder why there are not too many shows or movies set around this era. I mean, like, off the top of my head, like there's an anime, Princess Principal, I think it's called, that does this. And then there's RRR.
Wait, a show called Princess Principal is set in the 1800s?
Sorta, yeah. It's its own country, but it's set in like
if you told me
London,
it was something principal, I'd be like, oh, it's 1950s or later.
It's also a good spy show, so I actually recommend it. It's not bad. Anyway, and also RRR, which is set in like India around the colonialism time, the industrialization era of England. So we have these two good examples of like what you could do, and RRR goes fucking gonzo with its own, use of action and characterization and stuff. And so like you have a show like Unicorn Warriors Eternal, kind of doing the same thing, but just leaning heavily into the mysticism aspects. And I think I get what they're going for, and I dig it.
I definitely like that it's willing to have a lot of freedom on what it does. And I won't say it, but the way that season 1 ends, let me tell you, it gets...
Does everybody die?
No, but it can get even... I mean, they're Warriors Eternal, so they can't die.
Yeah.
I mean, their human hosts could die, but not their souls. But season 2, assuming they make one, which I looked it up, it seems unclear. Some places are reporting that it's already confirmed for season 2.
I mean, it's on Adult Swim, so I don't know. I
can't find anything where it's reporting that actually was pointing to concrete evidence behind that. It mostly just seemed like speculation. But season 2 gonna get even weirder. That
I hope so.
For certain.
Let's go to, I don't know, Sweden? Sure.
Weirder than Sweden.
Could be weird. All right, let's go to Thailand. Let's get Thailand weird.
Weirder than Thailand is what I'll say.
Okay. The moon?
What makes you think the moon is weird?
I could just assume it's the moon. Like, what's up there?
Okay. No.
Cheese? Aliens? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's cheese, but it's not Wensleydale.
Oh, whatever.
But this does bring us to
Camembert,
the last,
I assume?
at least. No.
Oh.
Like a cheddar.
Well,
Crumbly, right?
Sure, okay, whatever.
I like cheddar.
No, I like cheddar too, but just a figure of fancy.
Well, yeah, okay, that's fair.
Gruyere, maybe? Yeah.
But this brings us to one of the last major topics I want to talk about on it, which is the visuals of the show.
Thank you. Okay.
Mixed feelings on it.
Yeah, same. So I want to like it.
It's something that for me, the art style of this is very heavily inspired by both Max Fleischer,
Fleischer style rubber hose animation. Yeah.
I can't find his name. Osamu Tezuka.
Yeah, actually, now that you say it, yes, it absolutely is inspired by Osamu Tezuka.
And Max Fleischer, no surprise there.
Yeah, it's rubber hose.
I don't know how long, but decades at the very least, Gendy Tartakovsky has spent trying to make a Popeye thing. He loves Popeye.
Yeah.
And you can also definitely see the Tezuka in here, just around the way that a lot of these characters have, just very bulbous noses or their feet, the way that sort of the end of the foot is just a big old circle, basically.
There's an Indian like fortune teller mystic guy that Emma runs into in episode 3, and like you see his feet.
He comes up later. Don't worry.
Okay, good. It's basically like a fish with toes at the end. It's like it's horrifying. But I mean that's the Tezuka influence because all faces like that too.
And it's also weird because so this is a Cartoon Network series, but it is. I was looking at this. Why can't I see it now? Oh my god, I lost on this site. Because it's animated by a French studio. There it is. So it's animated by a French studio, Studio La Cachette, as well as Studio, and I'm going to butcher this, I apologize, Zmei, Zmei in Bulgaria.
Zmei.
Which, in some ways, it's odd to have those two. Now, Genndy Tartakovsky, he is like Russian American. He was literally born in the USSR at the time, so you can kind of understand that he would have strong European connections. But it's a little bit weird that the show does come across as this very American-made cartoon, but then animated out of France and Bulgaria, which then, okay, now it makes sense that it would have this very different art style inspired by Fleischer and Tezuka, where, they are going to... France has its whole own...
It really does,
animation history. And so does, I can't speak specifically to Bulgaria, but so did the USSR. And I have a lot of respect for and appreciation for the animation and the character design and styles in this show.
Yeah, me too.
I don't necessarily like it.
Just to sell some people on this, because like I'm mixed on it, but like I like it, and I respect it. It took me a bit to get really into it, and it is the mixture of Tezuka and Fleischman that I actually kind of dig the idea behind. If I'm going to sell this to anybody besides somebody else who's really into animation, I'm going to say, if they know Cuphead, it's kind of like a Cuphead. Sort of.
Yeah, I think my problem is it's also very... and this is going to make it sound insulting in a way I don't mean it to, at least for me, as somebody who kind of hates the show I'm about to reference. Mm-hmm. But it sometimes wants to get very animated and not graphically visceral, but kind of like just very almost veiny in a way that is reminiscent of like a Ren and Stimpy at times.
It does when you're a little veiny. It's weird. I agree.
Yeah, and like you were talking about the Indian sort of mystic guy, and when it does his feet, and it's just like his toes are just overly animated and dexterous in an upsetting kind of way. That's the part that reminds me of Ren and Stimpy. It's different, but it still has that feeling.
I mean, that's Tartakovsky's style sometimes. He's from that era, right? So like John Kay and him would have been like, tight.
Yeah, but I also think it is at times gorgeously animated with how fluid it can be, and the way that, because that Fleischer and Tezuka style where you have these, sort of rounded, bulbous characteristics at times, stuff like when a character turns their face and the way that they have to adapt the angle so that it still holds those characteristics, just looks really good. Or when it is over animating, hands, and like Merlin just has these long fingernails that just awful. Like, okay, dude, I know you're from whatever year in this show. You've been to the future. We have nail clippers. Please, for the love of God,
we have nail
get
clippers.
Some better hygiene.
Yeah, seriously.
I really appreciate there is a love to animation in this show, and not just from Genndy Tartakovsky, clearly from the animators, the boots on the ground, spending their time animating out these scenes. There is clearly people working on this who have a strong appreciation for older stuff, and they want to evoke it, and they I would assume have spent time studying some of those techniques of, well, when you have characters that look like this, here's how you have to have a character's face turn so that you don't get just weird noses and stuff. Here's how you draw this character when you're looking at them from an angle like this versus an angle like this.
Yeah.
The style just doesn't click for me, at least.
That's fair. The one thing I have to say about this show is that speaking of just the clearly it's designed by people who are extremely into the craft of animation, and I fully agree with that. And one of the things I agree with it, one of the reasons why I agree with it is basically like the first episode is so overly animated. it smacks of the lead designers. Man, the fight scenes are great.
They're incredible. Winston just going against those robots. You're like, man,
yeah, Copernicus.
This is a good fight scene.
Yeah. Like there's good stuff there. Like when Copernicus opens up and he's got like cannons inside of him, or when he uses the unicorn medallion, whatever it is, really good stuff. But the thing I'm referencing is that basically like the first episode is like we got to make a good impression, so lead animators only work on this episode. So like every scene is like so crisp, so smooth, so just yeah, that's animation, baby, and yeah, it kind of smacks of that, which it's not a problem. I like that,
definitely, yeah.
But like, yeah, you could tell that like people loved working on this show. Or at least I hope they did. It seems like there's a love of the craft in there.
I mean, hard to say what the working conditions are like at those studios, but it definitely does.
It's an animation studio, so it's crunchy and
yes. I mean, at this point, it feels like you could say that about every business.
You can say that about anything, yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's any single business in the world at this point. You go, no, it's fine working there, not a hellhole. But this definitely feels like the kind of show where just looking at it, you get the sense that the animators had a love for the craft of animation,
for sure,
and really went above and beyond on a lot of parts of it.
Oh yeah, you can tell. It's easy to tell that stuff. Yeah, like I said, this show might not look like everybody's cup of tea. And
definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people it would be off-putting. I think casual, more casual audience.
Yeah.
I would say, hey, somebody who likes cartoons and is into it, they're going to be fine, even if they're not familiar with those styles, even if they don't have an appreciation.
Yeah,
they're still going to like it. But I think somebody who's just they mostly don't like cartoons to begin with, or they're very casual towards them, this probably is going to push them away from it.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, like, it doesn't. It's not the kind of show that looks like a modern cartoon, even though it has a lot of modern cartoon sensibilities. It definitely has that, like, old school Fleischer, old school Tezuka style, which again is really cool. Like, I mean, like, there's a reason why in 2020, I think it's coming out this year. If not, it's next year. But Pluto is getting its own anime, and Pluto is notable because like it took Tezuka's stories and did its own thing, but then also the art is 100% like that mangaka's. So like, and people were like raving like, oh my god, I can't wait for Pluto. It's yeah, it's gonna be great. But like, if you had this same story, done by Osamu Tezuka, would they be as excited?
Who knows on that one?
I don't know. Yeah,
but we should start wrapping up.
Yes.
My closing thoughts on this show are, overall, I do like it.
Yeah.
It's not the most engaging show I've ever watched. I never really found myself super drawn into it. I just watched episode 4. I need to watch episode 5 now. It never felt like that show, but I did find myself enjoying moments. It has some fun twists, some a lot of interesting things. We haven't talked about it, but let's just say Seng in the last episode, maybe it's the last two, there's an incredible change to that character. Oh man, it's kind of amazing what they do with him, and you just go, wow, I can't believe you this to that character. That's incredible. I love it.
Okay.
So it has fun moments. It does do a good job of continually being good enough, and I don't mean this in a rude way to say good enough, but of being good enough to make me want to watch the next episode still.
Yeah.
It just never drew me in all that deep. And the ending of the first season, I think, is at least interesting enough that I definitely do want to see what a season 2 does, so I am looking forward to more of it.
Yeah, sure.
But also, I think if you watched the first 2 episodes of this and it's just not clicking for you, I'm not going to say you should keep watching and power through it, because I think you'll get a pretty good vibe of what the show is in the first episode. Probably the first 2, I would say. If you're not feeling the first episode, at least try and make it to the second. And if by the second you're still not feeling it, it's just not going to be for you, and that's fine.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think even if you're not big into the animation style, there's enough going on in the story and like the setting and that sorts of thing that I think that people will still like it. But yeah, it can be a little weird. Definitely a little weird.
Trust me, that is an understatement with where it goes.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell people where to find us?
Yeah. You know where you should find us? You should go to our Twitter page, which is at EIFNIR. And we're there, and for at least the time being, well, Twitter is not on fire. Every day it's a little more on fire.
You mean before it becomes a towering inferno? Because it's definitely on fire. It's just, hey, maybe the fire is still only on the ground floor.
It's probably like a few floors up by now. It's currently towering, but it hasn't hopped to a different building yet, so...
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll see how that works out. Yeah, go to Twitter. We're there. You should yell at us about how much you love Fleischman animation and Summon Tezuka.
Go for that. I'll be honest, I'm not an expert on Fleischman stuff, so I'll just go, oh, that sounds neat. Didn't know that.
If you're an expert on Fleischman animation and Tezuka's animation style, we'll talk. Yeah. I like that show.
Yeah.
Also, you should go to our Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, which you're currently watching this video on. So I don't know if you have to really go back to YouTube to find us, but whatever. Go to the places where we are at and listen to us and watch us and share with your friends. And then basically, if you want to, you can call upon the mystic energies to summon this podcast into the very palm of your hand. And when you do
Tristan,
so... what?
Tristan, that's just the internet.
Oh, yeah. Wait, it's like...
Keep telling you that's not magic. That's just the internet.
The very palm of my hand, son.
Tristan, that's the internet.
The very palm of my hand.
It's just electricity going through a rock.
Oh, boy. I'm going to use this to look up weird stuff.
That's called porn. We've also been over that.
Okay, well... yeah, anyway, go listen to us on the weird internet thing. Also go to our friend service, djding.com. Go there, listen to his great music, and I don't know, maybe like, if you have a chance, put a different soul into his body.
Okay, is he going to end up a Melinda or an Edred?
I couldn't tell you. One of the two. Could be a Zhang.
He might not enjoy the Edred situation, because then Andy kind of doesn't exist.
Could be a Zhang.
Then he also doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, like, hopefully Melinda.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, there's one path he might be okay with, and he might not enjoy so much, where he just ceases to exist.
Okay, well, the other option is to basically throw him into Copernicus and make him the new Copernicus.
Oh, he'll love that. Do that one.
All right, cool. Make him a robot. See if he cares.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another Exemetus episode of Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
Hey.